Hello and welcome. I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. This is 5 Live. Let's cut across straight to live visuals now coming in from Kolkata, where the Prime Minister is inaugurating the over 13 kilometers of the new metro line that is happening over there. You see pictures over there as he's reviewing before he finally goes in to cut that ribbon. This is marking one of the biggest single-day additions to Kolkata's urban transport. The Prime Minister has had a busy day. In the morning, he was in Bihar and now in Bengal, where he's inaugurating the Kolkata metro line, the new line over there. Interestingly, you do not see the West Bengal Chief Minister. In fact, she had said a couple of days ago that she will not be there. And there you go, the visuals have come in. The Prime Minister has now waved that green flag for Kolkata's new metro line. That's now been inaugurating and underway. All right, so like we said, this has been an interesting one. The new lines, let's tell you a little bit more about them. This metro line, it will cut a 50-minute road journey to just 11 minutes, while the airport commute will also drop from the main heart of the city all the way to just 30 minutes. So massive relief there for residents of Kolkata. Today, of course, the Prime Minister himself there to inaugurate that line. Like I said, very fascinating that the Kolkata Chief Minister, the West Bengal Chief Minister, is not there. Somebody who's already been Railways Minister in the past as well. Politically, we are told not aligned on the issue, although what's the reason that's been the official one is yet to be known. Let's cut across to Indrajit now, joining us from Kolkata for more. Indrajit, we just got live visuals of the Prime Minister inaugurating the metro line, said to be a huge relief for residents of Kolkata. What exactly is this supposed to do for them? How much of time savior this is going to be?
Well, Sonal, it's been a long wait for the people of Kolkata. You know, Kolkata was the first city to get a metro service in the country. But it has been a 4-decade-long wait for the city to finally get the metro railway connection to the Kolkata airport. Now, that has been realized, and it's a major infrastructure push for the city. You would now be able to reach the Kolkata airport using a metro line, and that's important. And what's also important is that Kolkata and its twin city Howrah, it had already been connected a few years back through the underground metro, which is also a big highlight. It's the first underground metro in the country. The full length of that underground metro system from the Howrah station on the other side of the Hooghly River to the Sialdah station in Calcutta and now to the airport. So the entire stretch from Howrah to Kolkata airport will now become operational. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as we have just seen, has flagged off this prestigious metro route. There are 3 segments which has been inaugurated by the Prime Minister today, of which the most prestigious one, of course, is the connection to the Kolkata airport.
Indrajit, it's been quite a poetic. It's been quite a poetic year for Kolkata, right? The year the trams went off, metro has come in, and in middle of all of that, you only see the central government and no participation of the state government either. What is that telling us?
Well, this is on expected lines, given the kind of polarized politics that we've been witnessing in West Bengal over the past few years. This was clearly on expected lines. Of course, the Chief Minister skipping this inauguration, the Prime Minister, he's here in Kolkata inaugurating this project and giving it to the nation. And we see a credit war that has now unfolded on social media. Just a short while back, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee went on social media on her X handle, saying that she feels nostalgic because all these connections to the suburb and the airport connection, these were something that she had announced when she was the railway minister, but they have now been materialized under the Modi government, and the Prime Minister is the one who is inaugurating it. So it would have been a nice photo op had the Chief Minister and Prime Minister was seen both doing it together. Nonetheless,
Prime
real
Minister
politics playing itself out on ground.
Yeah, though the Prime Minister is inaugurating it, I just want to get the record straight. The invitation was given. The Chief Minister was expected to be there and she chose not to. Is that safe to say?
Well, that's right. Officially, there was an invitation that was sent to the West Bengal Chief Minister for the official program, just as an invitation was given to the Governor of West Bengal. But the West Bengal Chief Minister has officially decided not to be part of that program. And what we are given to understand from sources within the government and the Trinamool Congress is that there is a grievance. A lot of central funds are pending, and they believe that this has not been released by the central government, by the Modi government. They say it's a stepmotherly attitude, and therefore, in order to drive home or protest, therefore, Mamata Banerjee has decided to skip this inauguration ceremony.
All right, indeed, we'll leave it over there. But politics aside, it's a welcome step for the citizens of Kolkata. And like I said, quite a poetic here. Trams have gone off the road, perhaps the last cities to have the trams. And now Metro has taken its place, being inaugurated now as we speak in West Bengal. All right, so that was the live update coming to you on Top of 5. But over the next 1 hour, we'll be bringing you 5 stories that demand your time. 5 stories that should ignite you and 5 stories that inspire your healthiest, happiest life. So stop scrolling. Let's get started. Let's tell you what's lined up on the program today. Supreme Court gives out a balanced verdict. If you care for the strays, adopt them. No more feeding them anywhere, and they will be released after sterilization. Prime Minister kickstarts his Bihar campaign, spoke about a host of issues, saying no one will give orders from jail. He will, in fact, he is in Bengal as we speak to inaugurate the metro services. The big health story on 5 Live, the future of surrogacy is here and it will cost you 12 lakh rupees. A robo will carry your embryo in a biosac. The OG angry young man, not so young, not so angry anymore. Big B shares his experience on aging, says it's become challenging for him to even perform everyday tasks. And finally on 5, for old school clubs are out, new age private clubs are in. India's young elite are choosing exclusive spaces that offer global access style and of course a serious social networking if you can afford it. First up, the issue that has divided the country. But now the Supreme Court has spoken that you can love them, you can hate them, but you need to follow a decorum with dogs. An extremely balanced view, which so far has got cheering on both sides. So let's tell you the top 5 things that you need to know from the verdict this morning. The Supreme Court has rolled back its earlier directive mandating permanent sheltering of stray dogs in Delhi-NCR, and now dogs that are sterilized, that are vaccinated and dewormed can be returned to their original areas. However, those exhibiting aggressive behaviour, signs of rabies must be confined and kept in the shelters. Point number 2 to remember from the order. Feeding stray dogs is a big debate there. On streets is no longer allowed. Instead, municipal bodies must establish clearly marked designated freezing or sort of feeding zones, structured to manage and monitor such activity. So if you were out there to feed your dog outside your colony, you cannot anymore. Number 3, The court has also expanded the case to cover all of India. It's calling for a national policy aligned with the ABC rules and has pulled in stray dog cases from high courts to streamline the decision. So this is now pan-India. Number 4, India's biggest allocation yet will go towards setting up helplines, upgrading sterilization centers and holding municipality accountable of any kind of human stray dog control or conflict that happens. 2,500 crore push has been made. And number 5, the court has moved away from reactionary crackdown on stray dogs. Instead, it's pushing for a science-backed human approach, one that protects people without resorting to mass removals or cruelty. So those were the top 5 things that you needed to know from that Supreme Court order. Here's a detailed report to take you through all the details.
And the strays of Delhi-NCR have had their fates rewritten. A decision that brings supreme relief to animal lovers, but fuels fresh concerns for public safety. The much-awaited Supreme Court order is out. All stray dogs picked up must be sterilized, immunized, and then released back. But there's one exception. Aggressive or rabid dogs will not return to the streets. They will stay in shelters.
मैं बहुत ही खुश हूँ कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट और मैं उनका धन्यवाद देती हूँ कि उन्होंने बहुत ही साइंटिफिक तरीके से और बहुत ही धैर्य से सोच समझ करके उन्होंने ये वर्डिक्ट दिया है.
Adding on, the court has drawn a hard line on feeding strays. No feeding in public spaces, only in designated zones which are to be identified in every municipal block.
हम लोग डॉग्स को खाना कहाँ खिलाएंगे, हमें बस ये जानना है. अगर आप हमें डेजिग्नेटेड एरिया दे देंगे, मैं अपने कुत्तों को खुद वहाँ से गोदी से उठा के लेके जाऊंगी, मैं उनको वहाँ पर जाके खाना खिलाऊंगी.
Any violation will invite action.
ये बहुत ही अच्छा फैसला है और हम इसको 100% इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगे.
The court also encouraged adoption of strays, urging citizens and NGOs to take responsibility.
मेरे हिसाब से इट्स अ वेरी वेरी बैलेंस्ड ऑर्डर. अच्छा ऑर्डर है. उन्होंने ये कहा है और सबसे बड़ी बात उन्होंने सारे स्टेट्स को इन्वॉल्व कर दिया इसमें. सुओ मोटो.
Dog lovers call it a balanced judgment. Some even promise to help sterilize, feed and manage the strays.
हम हेल्प करेंगे रेबीज डॉग्स और एनिमल पकड़ाने में.
But critics ask, who decides which dog is aggressive?
आप कैसे जजमेंट कर सकते हो कि कौन सा कुत्ता काटेगा और कौन सा कुत्ता नहीं काटेगा?
They argue shelters may be costly, but public safety is priceless.
शेल्टर बनने में हमें भी पता है कि टाइम लगेगा और उसमें करोड़ों रुपए खर्च होने हैं, मगर ये सिचुएशन और ये जो कंडीशन है ये सबके लिए सेफ्टी, इंसानियत सेफ्टी से ज्यादा नहीं है.
So while the court has chosen streets over shelters for Delhi's strays, the question now is, will municipalities rise to the challenge? Or will the city's stray saga continue to chase its own tail? With Srishti Ojha and Shivani Sharma, Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, so that last shot that you saw in your story of even now, of a man sitting on the street just feeding the strays, now that has to stop. Supreme Court is saying, yes, you are within right to feed them, but you can't just do it anywhere. There have to be designated areas, and there, that means there will be clearing out of the strays from other spaces, especially residential societies. Now, joining us next is Shivani Sharma. She's a line trainer, pet parenting consultant as well. Shivani, it's a welcome order. Perhaps Supreme Court has done, which a lot of people thought they could not, which is keep both sides happy. The one key issue that stood out for me in the order was the fact that Supreme Court says, if you love them, adopt them. Take responsibility for them. Don't just let go of your instincts taking care of a dog by feeding them. What do you have to say about that? How many people are really ready today to adopt a stray?
So to begin with, I want to understand when they say adopt, do they mean they want the animals to be taken inside our homes? Or can it be a passive adoption where I look after my community animals, I pay for their upkeep, but they are technically adopted by me, but they remain where they are. So it has to be a practical adoption. I don't think that people are completely ready to take so
Correct.
many dogs home, but they can be passive adoptions where I can just say yes, I'm responsible for a community pack of dogs, and yes, these are technically not adopted by me, but yes, under my care. So
I'm
uh,
not sure, but from what I understood, they meant that you've got to adopt them. That means they stay in your house, not just on the street. So
so
that's
I'm
that's my understanding, at least so far.
so I feel that's not a very practical ask, and it's not really fair to have such a demand where you say our love is justified only when we take them home. I think our love can be expressed while they are where they are.
Shivani, another issue that a lot of residents have complained about, RWA, one after the other really speaks of, is why are we feeding the dogs in unverified location, in locations which perhaps might have a lot of kids coming in. And you know the behavior of an animal. They're scavengers by nature, but if they know that this is where they're going to get food, and the day they don't, they might get aggressive. That's another trait that we've known. So on these designated areas, any clarity perhaps that you have, or what in your mind should be done of these designated areas that the MCD now has to decide?
So, understanding that dogs are territorial animals, we have to be very, very mindful that our community is shared by multiple packs who are now, sort of competing with each other for limited, very small patches of areas. But at the same time, if you're going to confine these dogs to designated feeding areas, I really hope that it is in proportion to the number of dogs, because if we don't do it in proportion to the number of dogs that that area actually has, it's going to be absolute chaos to concentrate all the packs to a designated area without having a calculation. Because while I understand that yes, there should be a difference between where the residents are residing and where the dogs are feeding and doing things, I feel that the designated feeding areas that the MCD plans has to be very, very well planned. It cannot just be one area per ward and just move on. I think that's going to create more chaos than it is at the moment, because right now when dogs are okay in their territories being fed, they're a lot more calmer and a lot more at peace, knowing that okay, our area is protected and we are well fed where we are.
Shivani, so what I'm hearing from you is that though this order has come out with a very balanced view, there are still a lot of loopholes, there are still a lot of questions that remain unanswered. That's one thing I'm picking up from what you've said. And the other bit, if I can ask you, since the previous order, have you sensed any change on the ground? Are you seeing dogs or strays, for example, around your area actually being picked up?
Uh, Firstly, yes, I do see a lot of loopholes. I wasn't entirely very happy about the stay when I heard of it. I do want to understand what exactly are they, defining a rabid dog as? What are they defining an aggressive dog as? Are the complaints valid complaints that are going up? Fortunately, I in my area haven't heard of any dog being missing, but I do sense a lot of stress amongst feeders and caretakers about the care, the presence of their dog. So the feeders have become extra alert. They have basically put in a word to guards and shopkeepers to keep an eye for their dogs, because they can't be there at all times. But I do sense a lot of loopholes, and I'm genuinely worried about that, because till the time we don't have clarity on what are the definitions that the Supreme Court wants to put about aggression. What is your definition of a rabid dog? What are the signs you're going to be looking at? What sort of testing are you putting these dogs through before they're pounded? I am genuinely concerned about these,
Got it,
missing
got it.
links.
Valid points there, Shivani. You also are a pet parent consultant, right? For
Yes.
a lot of people watching right now who want to take up strays, and we can't stress enough on it, right? Like, take up an indie, don't go for a fancy breed, help those who are already out there, and pick up a a smaller dog, a pup, if possible, instead of a big one, because then they find adjustment to a home very, very difficult. With these things in mind, for somebody who's curious about sort of adopting a dog at this point from the road, from one of the strays, what would you tell them?
Shrishti, I feel it's absolutely possible for us to get a stray home. In fact, I would like to clarify that age for me is no bar. Even if an animal has spent quite an amount of time on the streets, it's not difficult to resettle it at home. So, behaviorally, it is possible for me to get slightly older dogs as well. I won't just focus on puppies. I have personally rehabilitated plenty strayed animals who've been rescued and couldn't be put back on the streets for multiple reasons. So it is definitely doable. I would really urge people to come forward and look at indies as potential companions. They're amazing pet dogs. They're one of the smartest breeds that we worked with as behaviorists, and they're extremely, extremely good companion pet dogs if they're not looked at the way the country is looking at them right now. I think there's a lot of stigma that is attached to this breed, and I really hope that behaviorists and animal welfare workers work towards changing this perspective that people have against them.
Yeah, Shivani, but not always, right? There are cases that we hear of where adoption gets really difficult as well. And that's where perhaps the whole concept of how are we training about pet parents comes into being. So any advice to them?
Um, so adoption has to be well planned. Now that the Supreme Court has also said that once an adopted dog cannot be released back, I think it has to be extremely, extremely thoughtfully done. I need the families to prepare to sort of do some research before they look at this, because with these adoptions come a lot of responsibilities, and I would expect the families to have basic education of what they're signing up for. So it is a thoughtful decision that I want them. That is my only advice, to please plan before you take up and take this on.
All right, that's sound advice there. Thank you so much for joining us, Shivani, with all those details. Here's to everybody watching. Whoever is curious about getting one of the strays home, please do it with a lot of responsibility and get help whenever required. All right, let's move on to the next big story here on 5 Live, and we'll cut back to what the politics has been all about. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, during a visit to election-bound Bihar on Friday, took a sharp dig at the RJD, invoking its past rule as a lantern era and accusing it of plunging the state into darkness, lawlessness and backwardness, sort of backing the proposed bill to bar those with criminal backgrounds from contesting election. Prime Minister said, and I quote, "No one can give orders from jail." He also targeted the parties that he claimed treat Bihar's people merely as vote bank while ignoring their aspirations, dignity and development. Here's a report. Listen in very quickly to what the Prime Minister said.
कोई मुख्यमंत्री है, कोई मंत्री है, कोई प्रधानमंत्री है, तो वो जेल में रह करके भी सत्ता का सुख पा सकता है। ये कैसे हो सकता है? हमने कुछ समय पहले ही देखा है कि कैसे जेल से ही फाइलों पर साइन किए जा रहे थे, जेल से ही सरकारी आदेश निकाले जा रहे थे। नेताओं का अगर यही रवैया रहेगा तो ऐसे भ्रष्टाचार के विरुद्ध लड़ाई कैसे लड़ी जा सकती है? साथियों, संविधान हर जनप्रतिनिधि से ईमानदारी और पारदर्शिता की उम्मीद करता है। हम संविधान की मर्यादा को तार तार होते नहीं देख सकते। इसलिए एनडीए सरकार भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ एक ऐसा कानून लाई है जिसके दायरे में देश का प्रधानमंत्री भी है। इस कानून में मुख्यमंत्री और मंत्रियों को भी शामिल किया गया है। जब ये कानून बन जाएगा तो प्रधानमंत्री हो या मुख्यमंत्री या फिर कोई भी मंत्री, उसे गिरफ्तारी के 30 दिन के अंदर जमानत लेनी होगी और अगर जमानत नहीं मिली तो 31वें दिन उसे कुर्सी छोड़नी पड़ेगी। ये आरजेडी वाले, ये कांग्रेस वाले, ये लेफ्ट वाले इस कानून का विरोध कर रहे हैं। ये बहुत गुस्से में है और कौन नहीं जानता उनको किस बात का डर है। जिसने पाप किया होता है वो अपने पाप को दूसरों से छुपाता है, लेकिन खुद को भीतर से जानता है कि क्या खेल खेला है। इन सब का भी यही हिसाब है। हमारे देश में कांग्रेस हो, आरजेडी हो, इनकी सरकारों ने कभी जनता के पैसे का मोल नहीं समझा। इनके लिए जनता के पैसे का मतलब रहा है खुद की तिजोरी भरना। इसलिए कांग्रेस आरजेडी की सरकारों में सालों साल तक परियोजनाएं पूरी नहीं होती थी। अब इस गलत सोच को भी एनडीए सरकार ने बदल दिया है। अब शिलान्यास के बाद कोशिश होती है जल्द से जल्द समय सीमा में उस काम को पूरा करने के लिए सफल प्रयास किया जाए। मैंने लाल किले से एक और खतरे की बात की है और ये खतरा बिहार पर भी है। देश में घुसपैठियों की बढ़ती संख्या चिंता का विषय है। बिहार के सीमावर्ती जिलों में तेजी से डेमोग्राफी बदल रही है। इसलिए एनडीए सरकार ने तय किया है कि देश का भविष्य घुसपैठियों को नहीं तय करने देंगे। घुसपैठियों को बिहार के युवाओं के रोजगार नहीं छीनने देंगे। जिन सुविधाओं पर भारतीय लोगों का अधिकार है उस पर घुसपैठियों को डाका नहीं डालने देंगे। इस खतरे से निपटने के लिए मैंने डेमोग्राफी मिशन शुरू करने की बात कही है। बहुत जल्द ये मिशन अपना काम शुरू करेगा। हम हर घुसपैठियों को देश से बाहर करके ही रहेंगे।
All right, let's cut across to Rohit Singh now, joining us from Patna for more details on this story. Rohit, couple of news points that come out of the Prime Minister's speech here, but one of the biggest one being the anti-graft bill, of course. Do you think it's cutting base with people in Bihar? Would that be one of the major sort of narratives that drive this election, or is it getting more hyper-local?
Well, see, corruption has always been a big issue in Bihar as far as RJD Supremo Lalu Prasad fodder scam is concerned, and how Lalu was convicted in several cases, and how BJP always uses the fodder scam and the corruption related to Lalu family as a poll plank, as an important poll plank, one election after after another. So today also, when we saw Prime Minister Narendra Modi really hitting out at RJD and Congress over this anti-graft bill, which is in the pipeline, in fact, which was introduced in the Parliament recently, Prime Minister really made out very clearly that why Congress and RJD leaders were opposing it, because he said that these leaders were all embroiled in controversy and corruption. Many of these leaders, including, he did not take names, but he insinuated that several leaders from the Congress and RJD are all corruption cases are going on. They are all out on bail. So, where he said rail ka khel also, where he hit out at Lalu Prasad Yadav. And now see, in the National Herald case, Rahul is out on bail. In the several scam cases, Lalu Prasad is also out on bail, Rabri Devi is out on bail, Tejasvi is out on bail. So the corruption really appears to be a big issue in Bihar, and that is why today we saw that Prime Minister Modi raised this issue and hit out at Rahul Gandhi as well as Tejasvi Yadav and both Congress and RJD on the issue of corruption.
Very fascinating. BJP is going after corruption and Congress, on the other hand, going after vote chori. So let's see which narrative actually cuts it across with the voters there, but still very early days. Thank you for joining us and bringing us all those details. Welcome back here with 5 Live. I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. On to the big health story this hour. A robot having a baby. Sounds like science fiction, right? But in China, it's on the verge of becoming a science fact. By 2026, researchers may unveil the world's first pregnant robo, a humanoid machine designed to carry a fetus from implantation till birth. This is said to be one of the most radical shifts in reproduction since IVF. And this is also said to be the answer to surrogacy, which is now illegal in several countries, including ours. But is this the future of fertility or a line that humanity should not cross? My colleague Sneha Murdani explains.
Imagine a couple dealing with infertility choose to seek help and are told surrogacy is an option. The mother would be a robot. You heard that right. This is not a plot from a sci-fi movie or something I'm just cooking up. It actually could be a reality in days and weeks to come. Chinese scientists are developing the world's first pregnancy robot, a humanoid that will carry a baby in an artificial womb and mimic a full-time pregnancy. For those struggling to conceive, hiring a humanoid to carry their baby will cost about 12 lakh rupees or a lakh won. The machine, equipped with a system that feeds the fetus nutrients through a hose, could one day mimic a full-term pregnancy before giving birth. An AI robot, a surrogate, wouldn't conceive in the true human sense. Instead, it would house an artificial womb implanted inside its body where a fertilized embryo is placed. The robot's advanced systems would then provide nutrients, oxygen, and monitor the developing fetus, mimicking the functions of a natural pregnancy. AI has been a friend, companion to many. Now it could be taking on the role of a mother. The prototype will make its debut next year. But while the science is fascinating, it has opened a Pandora's box of legal and ethical debates. Yes, it offers hope in infertility, but what about the moral boundaries of creating life through machines?
All right, a relief for those wanting surrogacy or a scare for those wondering what lies ahead? Let's break that open with an expert joining us. Dr. Naina Patel, a surrogacy and infertility expert, also the medical director of Kantra Hospital and Research Institute, joins us live now. Dr. Patel? All right, we'll just go across to her. Meanwhile, we also spoke with Dr. Manisha Singh, who's the additional director of gynecology at Fortis Hospital in Bengaluru. Let's listen in to how gynacs are really perceiving this big medical breakthrough.
Pregnancy in a human being and in a robot is very different. When a mother goes into labor, she can have high blood pressure, she can have hemorrhage, in the antepartum period. She can bleed after the delivery of the baby. There can be different complications that happen during the labor, which is what every obstetrician and gynecologist needs to learn in their formative years. When it comes to the robot, there will be proper precise mechanisms to get the baby out of the pod when the time is right. So therefore, will it aid training of the new generation doctors? I'm not so sure. But yes, this is a very interesting novel concept, and there is still miles to go before this is out in the public for clinical practice and clinical use. But I look forward to the developments in this space eagerly, and I'm sure that in time to come there will be a use and validity for a pregnancy robot.
All right, so let's see what this one offers. Dr. Patel is with us. Dr. Patel, these biosacs where an embryo can grow has existed for a while, right? The robos carrying it in their womb perhaps is the new part here. But I'm very curious to understand your perspective on what this means for fertility and the future of that with.
Thank you for asking me. As of now, I would really say it's an interesting novel technology, but is it crossing an ethical and moral line? That is also what we should understand. Will the whole idea of having a baby change? So now more and more patients are going for artificial insemination or IVF, so no natural conception, then no natural pregnancy and delivering the baby. So that is a very logical, social, ethical issue which is surrounding it. Yes, it could be a boon for couples for females who could not carry a child or who has large issues with the pregnancies or the transgenders. Then there can be single male families where the value of the female will go to zero, and there will be gay couples who will opt for this. But most importantly, the Garbha Sanskar, what we believe and our culture believe, how will that go on to the baby? The feel, the voice of the mother, what the mother eats, how it impacts, what the mother thinks. Will this robot be able to think like a human being? That is another question that we need to answer.
Dr. Patel, Patel, it's not a versus question, right? Every time a medical breakthrough happens, we as humans, because of AI, have become very competitive with it. I'm thinking of it from a perspective of perhaps a mother who's finding it difficult to conceive, who has tried IVF. It's painful on the pocket, painful emotionally, painful physically. Surrogacy not an option anymore legally in India. For them, is this a breakthrough? And on your point of Garbha Sanskar, this robo actually can hear. You can talk to the baby. The parents to be can actually communicate, send their voice to the womb through the robot. So all these things have been made possible. But you're right, the need of it perhaps came from infertility, which is on the rise in China.
Yes, so I really agree with you that yes, it is a boon for many, but what about its overuse and misuse? Like for convenience, for the career, and how can a womanhood be, you are literally taking away the womanhood from a female. Like a male can say, I don't need you to carry my child anymore. I have a robot to carry it. Do you think you want a society where this type of mentality exists? No. So yes, it's a new, but how will that robot deliver? What is the long-term impact on that baby? Will that baby be a total mechanical baby with no human feelings, no touch? How do we come to know that? So till then, it has to be very, very guardedly taken, and we cannot compare it with the animal world also, because human are at a different level than the animals. So long-term implications, all the mothers, you may find it very interesting, very glamorous, very fantastic new way of having a baby. But the new baby that you want, the next generation, what type of baby? So that is one thing. And secondly, the countries where it is legal, how can a machinery take over the legal aspect? Like here in India, it is legal now for some certain number of couples, but it's not legal in China. You can't find a shortcut. Like if I want to kill somebody, I don't do it myself, but if I have a robot fed in who can go and kill that person, is it legal to do that? Then everybody will have such type of robots available who can just by technique go ahead and kill somebody with AI. So
Right.
is this the way you want to take a loop around the legal aspect in a country? I would say no.
No, I
Then
don't
the
want to say
machineries
it's a
can be
new
taken.
way, but at
It's
the
a new
moment,
way.
it's just a possibility as of now. Let's be real about
Yes,
it.
yes,
It's a
it's a possibility.
possibility. The
It's very
baby, first
interesting how a
fetus,
male can also feed the baby when the
yeah,
female is at the job. Female
yeah,
can go and feed the baby.
yeah.
But the complications, like the gynecologist said, Manisha Singh, is also very important. The complications that can happen to the baby is revealed through the mother. Like mother gets hypertension, mother gets some symptoms where the blood flow reduces to the baby, where the water supply to the amniotic fluid goes down. How will a robo be
Of
able
course,
to
nothing
detect
can
all this?
mimic a human mom.
Yes,
Nothing
yes.
can mimic the natural way of having a baby. Nobody is saying that. But like I said, this is not a versus. The reason we
Yes.
brought out this report is not to say this is the new way. The reason we brought out this report is to make people aware of how far and beyond science is going. For China to say they will actually make it possible by 2026. Now that's something. That means somewhere some fetus has already been conceived and is ready to be put inside a robo as we speak for them to actually deliver it in 2026. But ma'am, let's come down to the cost now. And like I said, for couples who suffer, who struggle with infertility, you know this better than I do, it's a real one. It's not just the emotional toil, it's not just the physical toil, it's not just how expensive it is. It's an overall approach. Surrogacy today as well costs anywhere, even when it was legally done in India, costs anywhere between 30 to 40 lakhs. This one will cost just about 12 lakhs.
If I'm not mistaken, the cost is around 12 lakhs, yes, but then the overall cost of maintaining it for 9 months and delivery. Cost apart, I feel really it's a boon for a lady who doesn't have a uterus, born without uterus, not taking help of a surrogate, who is independently taking care of her baby as the way she wants, not dependent on a surrogate. I think it's a wonderful idea. It's a boon because any female will not be deprived now of taking care of her own child, even outside the uterus, before the baby is born. So that's a wonderful concept, I feel. But that cost will all be in addition. This is just the price. After that, maintaining it for the 9 months, feeding it, oxygenation, etc., will be all added cost, and then the delivery. So the final amount, what it will cost till delivery, which is say 30 lakhs right now in India, or $100,000, $200,000 in USA, we don't know what it would come to be at the end of the day when the final delivery happens from this particular technology.
Right.
But yes, as you said, it will give a lot of independence to the females who have problems with the uterus, who cannot carry a baby or born without uterus. They will feel lot more confident and
Yeah, like I
independent
said, there is a
of having a
possibility
baby.
now.
Excellent idea.
Yeah,
Yes.
there is a possibility. Dr. Patel, you know, this story got me thinking that if a robo can deliver a baby in 12 lakhs, why is the cost of this entire infertility sector in India so expensive? Any female who above 30 who has frozen their eggs or that embryo or undergoing IVF will tell you how painful and how expensive it is, especially because there is no insurance cover. So
Yes, now insurance companies are coming up.
Can
But
you
you're
take us through
mistaken.
what is
Here
required
it is
here
just
then?
the cost of the robot. Before that, creating the embryo will need the IVF part. And that IVF part is also equally costly or slightly higher in China. So if in India you consider a cost of IVF is 250,000, 2.5 lakhs, it's little higher in China. So before they put an embryo inside, what happens is they've created this womb that will be put into a humanoid robot. Right? So
Like a
what we do
biosac?
inside, it will be the embryo. So for that, we need to do IVF. We need to stimulate the female, take her eggs out in the lab, fertilize with the husband's sperms. And once that embryo forms, so that cost is excluded in this. Whereas
Yeah.
in our surrogacy, that is always included.
Sure.
So that will happen. Then it goes inside the uterus. And then the process starts if it survives. If it does not survive in the robo, or is it rejected, that studies have not come out. That can also get rejected in a robo, and again the same procedure will happen.
Sure.
So it is not an alternative to IVF treatment and the cost. It is an alternative to surrogacy where IVF procedure takes place, freezing of embryos take place, But the surrogate is not a carrier, it is a human robot which is a carrier and gets the delivery
And
part
rewards remain the same is what you're saying. I agree with that. But Dr. Patel, my question was slightly different. I'm trying to understand why is the whole process of fertility so expensive in India? And what can be done to actually bring it under a medical cover to ensure that people have an easier ride in these very stressed out lives that all of us live in urban jungles? How can you ensure that this becomes not a thing that only the very affluent can afford?
Yes, yes. So now it is going down, the cost. The first thing is India is one of the cheapest in the world as far as IVF and infertility treatment is concerned. Even the countries like Kenya and Tanzania, the IVF is costlier than what it is in India. So I would say India has one of the cheapest IVF treatment. But the unfortunate part is that not all IVF cases are successful. There is a certain success rate, say 30%, 40%, 60%, depending on the patient profile. And unfortunately, the Indian ethnicity, the eggs of the Indian women get aged and infertile earlier than the Western counterparts or the African counterparts. So we in India biologically age 6 years earlier than our Western counterpart. Now when we are starting our career, we are looking at it, we feel 35 is a normal age to conceive. But unfortunately, the Indian females start losing out on the quality and quantity of their eggs by the age of 32. So that is making even the results get more difficult in India. But the cost part is mainly due to the disposables, media, the procedure, the technology, the investment in the labs, and then there are repeated failures that adds to the cost. But I would definitely vouch that India is one of the cheapest countries as far as IVF treatment is concerned.
Well, anybody who's taken IVF will tell you otherwise. But yes, that's a good perspective. Compared to the world, we do have it cheaper. Can we make it more affordable? Can we add it under the insurance cover? All those questions.
That would be very
all
nice.
those questions still remain.
Insurance is not available.
Yes.
We should get insurance and we should fight for that. Why infertility is not there in the insurance.
All right, Dr. Patel, thank you so much for joining us with all those insights over there.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, let's cut across to news coming in. Federal agents are searching the residence of former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton this morning. Sources familiar with the matter say that the search was carried out by FBI and is related to allegations that Bolton is in possession of classified records. Remember, Bolton had been making rounds on Indian television news channels, including here on India Today, criticizing Donald Trump for his tariff policies against India. And now there's a raid that's been carried out over there. And federal agents are searching the residence of John Bolton. Pranay joins us for more on the phone line. Pranay, was this on the expected lines? So what are we to take from here?
We can't say that this is on the expected lines, but definitely the way John Bolton was reacting, and he was commenting on President Donald Trump, his policies, his administration, and keeping in view the troubled relationship of John Bolton and Donald Trump, especially after his previous term, because he's the same guy who served as National Security Advisor for President Donald Trump during his previous term, and now they share a very troubled and an acrimonious relationship. And the raid which are being conducted by the federal agents, the FBI director Kash Patel has posted on a social media post without naming John Bolton, but he did say that no one is above law. So definitely, this is a big thing. A national security advisor of United States is being, his house, his premises are being raided and being searched for allegedly in possession of some secret documents. We know that, in Mar-a-Lago, the federal agents searched the premises of President Donald Trump when he shifted to Mar-a-Lago after, limiting the Oval Office.
Sure.
So clearly, this is a very significant and a big thing, and we have to see that how the U.S. Society reacts to this.
All right, Pranay, we'll leave it there for the moment. Thanks so much for joining us.